Turuan din natin ang mga bata ng tamang paghugas ng mga kamay. Basain ang kamay ng tubig at lagyan ng sabon. Kuskusin ang iyong mga palad. Gayon din ang pagitan ng mga daliri. Pati na ang likod ng mga palad at daliri. Ganon din ang iyong hinlalaki, kasama ang mga dulo ng iyong mga daliri. Pagkatapos ay iyong palapulsuhan. Gawin ito ng kahit 20 segundo. Pagkatapos ay banlawan ng tubig at patuyuin. Hello there! Imagine Dami got the virus, and she infected 2 more. And those 2 infected a lot more of people. And it goes on and on until it became an epidemic. But what if Dami stayed at home? Then those 2 wouldn't have contracted the virus. Then those people would have not been infected. This is not just your battle, it's everyone's, and you can be a huge help. Follow social distancing, or better yet, stay at home.
Ein sonniger Tag heute hier in Berlin vor dem Bundestag. Ich bin Irene Juliet Arzadon und möchte diese Gelegenheit nutzen, um ein paar Worte mit euch zu teilen. An alle Menschen da draußen. In dieser Zeit, lasst uns nicht vergessen, den Menschen zu danken, die ihr Leben für uns opfern. Sei es die Menschen, die im Krankenhaus arbeiten, in den Altenheimen sowie in den Arztpraxen, aber auch an die Menschen, die im Lebensmittelhandel sich befinden. Die Kassierer. Manchmal reicht es aus, um ihnen ein freundliches Lächeln zu geben. Denn die Menschen, die heute am Arbeiten sind, weil sie nicht so wie einige von uns zu Hause bleiben können, die sollten wir wertschätzen. Ihnen sollten wir unseren Dank ausrichten. Darum lasst uns noch mehr zusammenhalten, sie wertschätzen.
Tamang impormasyon. Napapanahon. Mula Batanes hanggang Tawi-Tawi. Di lamang sa bansa, kundi maging sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Mga balitang makabuluhan, mga panayam sa kinauukulan, subaybayan. Dito lamang sa Net 25. News, entertainment, technology.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles. We're moving to the next stage of the pandemic, and as the world resets to the new normal, we find ourselves seeking the right balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Welcome to Eagle News International. Malacanang said President Duterte had consulted doctors and experts on the possible reopening of the Philippine economy amid the coronavirus disease pandemic. In his press briefing, presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque said that in yesterday's meeting with some members of the cabinet, the president almost considered the option of returning Metro Manila under the Modified Enhanced Community Quarantine, or MECQ, given the current data on critical factors and the number of cases. The palace, however, mentions that NCR may still be placed back under MECQ after July 31. Secretary Roque also revealed that in the late meeting with the chief executive, President Duterte asked experts from the University of the Philippines who were invited as resource persons if the economy can be opened amidst the rising number of coronavirus cases.
Okay, maraming salamat. No? Unfortunately, hindi lahat ng sinabi ng UP na broadcast kagabi. No? At isa po sa sinabi nila, 3 po yung alternatibo na binigay nila po para sa Metro Manila. No? At kasama na nga po yung MECQ at kasama rin naman yung GCQ na mayroong mas mainting na pagpapatupad nga po ng mga rules sa General Community Quarantine. No? Now, nung una po, ang sabi kasi ng, nagtanong po ako, no? Hindi na po ito na broadcast. Mali ba yung ginawa ko na hinimok ko ang ating mga kababayan na gawin ang lahat na pwedeng gawin para hindi magkatotoo yung forecast ng UP pagdating sa numero ng COVID-19? At ang sagot po ni Professor Wright, tama po yun. Dapat palagi nating sabihan ng ating mga kababayan, gawin ang lahat ng hakbang para hindi nga po magkatotoo ang forecast. Pero ngayon nga po, ang forecast ng UP hindi nagkatotoo. Dahil ang sabi nila 60 to 70, nagbago na po sila ng forecast, baka 80 at the end of July. Ibig sabihin, hindi nagkatotoo dahil mas marami pang kasong marerecord kesa dun sa initial forecast ng UP, no? Na nakakalungkot po talaga. Kaya ang rekomendasyon po ng UP, base po sa karanasan ng Cebu City na talagang matindi po yung mga kaso at matindi po yung pagkalat ng sakit, bumagal po talaga ang pagkalat ng sakit at nabawasan ang kaso nang bumalik po sila sa ECQ. Sa mga doktor at dalubhasa na naroroon sa meeting, kaya na bang buksan ang ekonomiya bagamat tumataas ang numero? At ang naging kasagutan naman ng lahat, kasama na po ang UP dyan, ay kakayanin naman po basta ipatupad nga itong ating strategiya, localized lockdown, mas mainting na testing, tracing, and treatment. Yung mga vulnerables, kinakailangan po talagang maging homeliners. Ang mga vulnerables, tapatan na po pag lumabas kayo, kasama na kayo sa death, sa mortality data. Sigurado na po yan, dahil yan ang po napatunayan natin sa Espanya, sa France, sa Italia. Talagang wala pong kalaban-laban ng mga seniors. At siyempre po, hugas, mask at iwas.
Meanwhile, the coronavirus crisis rages on, and so does the war of words over a top infectious disease expert, or between a top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and U.S. President Trump. The verbal volleys kept coming as the U.S. topped 3.5 million coronavirus cases and topped the 137,000 deaths. In an opinion piece Tuesday in USA Today, take a look, President Trump's chief trade advisor, Peter Navarro, attacked Dr. Fauci with renewed animosity when he said, "When you ask me whether I listened to his advice, my answer is only with skepticism and caution," Navarro wrote. The op-ed is nearly identical to a statement Navarro shared with CBS News on Sunday as top White House officials criticized Dr. Fauci's blunt warnings on the coronavirus crisis amid efforts to sideline the respected infectious disease expert. It also mirrors some of the president's own criticisms of Dr. Fauci. The trade advisor goes on to list instances where he and Dr. Fauci diverge on how best to handle the coronavirus pandemic, including on the use of masks and the closing of U.S. borders to foreign nationals traveling from China, where the outbreak originated. When you ask me whether listen to Dr. Fauci's advice, my answer is only with skepticism and caution, Navarro wrote. Last week, Fauci was told not to attend a press briefing with the White House Coronavirus Task Force, of which he is a member at the Department of Education. He did, however, appear at a subsequent task force briefing on Friday. However, President Trump chided White House trade advisor Peter Navarro for the op-ed he wrote condemning Dr. Fauci and claims that the leading infectious disease expert has been wrong on numerous occasions during the coronavirus pandemic. Take a look.
Well, same team. We're all in the same team, including Dr. Fauci. I have a very good relationship with Dr. Fauci, and we're all in the same team. We want to get rid of this mess that China sent us. So everybody's working on the same line, and we're doing very well. We're doing well in a lot of ways, and our country's coming back very strong.
Tensions between President Trump and Dr. Fauci have emerged at times, with the president focused on getting Americans back to work and school, while Dr. Fauci has urged caution to prevent the spread of infection. The number of infections worldwide hit 13.4 million, and more than 581,000 deaths have been reported since the virus emerged in China late last year, with the U.S. topping the tally. Cases are soaring in America's South and West, and on Wednesday, the country set a record with more than 67,000 new infections in 24 hours. Dr. Fauci, meanwhile, said that if you're dealing with divisiveness, the best thing to do is to stick to science. Let's listen in.
Messages and then get a bit confused about what they should do. Well, the most important thing to do is when you're dealing in what I think you're referring to as a divisive atmosphere in the country at whatever level you call it, is to stick to the science and stick to the evidence and avoid at all costs getting involved in any of the political, ideological divisiveness. If you want to get a message across, build up the confidence in others that you are speaking the truth and you are speaking and advising on the basis of evidence and science, because that's the thing that's clean and crystal clear. There's not, ideology involved. There's not political persuasion involved. Just stick with the data and use that to make whatever advice or recommendation you're going to do. And you can get past all of the other stuff that's unfortunately background noise and often gets in the way of what you're trying to do.
Faced with outbreak surges in the U.S. South and West, Dr. Fauci sounded the alarm last week, denouncing the hasty end to lockdowns in several states and the general carelessness of many Americans. The U.S., meanwhile, set a new record Wednesday with more than 67,000 cases registered in the previous 24 hours, and the country has the world's highest death toll at more than 137,000 fatalities, and officials are now scrambling to roll back reopenings that were meant to revive economies. So the latest research model showed the numbers of U.S. deaths projected to rise to over 150,000 by next month. In the U.S. state of Oklahoma, the Republican governor, Kevin Stitt, who has often declined to wear a mask, said he had tested positive for COVID-19. The use of masks to slow the spread of the virus has become a political flashpoint in the U.S., where President Trump had resisted wearing one until recently and at times mocked the trend. Stitt's state recorded a single-day record of 1,075 new cases, while its neighbor to the south, Texas, reported 10,791 new cases and 110 new fatalities. Both are new highs. Meanwhile, officials in Alabama ordered face masks to be worn in public places. Republican Governor Kay Ivey spoke in Montgomery.
Overnight, last night, we had 2,141 new cases. That brings our total to 58,270 cases, and we've had 1,183 deaths. Increased cases every day are still occurring, and we are almost to the point where our hospital ICUs are overwhelmed. Folks, the numbers just do not lie. For these reasons, today, with the support of Dr. Harris, the medical community, and many in our business community, I am mandatory mask wearing effective starting tomorrow, July 15th at 5 p.m. to be in place until the end of the month.
To Thailand now, where schools were again ordered to close amid fears of a coronavirus. Okay, look, joining us live is Gretchen Kusadsad from Bangkok. Hello, Gretchen.
Hi, Alma. Good evening.
Good evening, Gretchen.
Yes, we have reported for the past few weeks, schools here in Thailand are already open, started on July 1st. But however, some schools were shut again because, according to the Bangkok Post, this closure is a precaution after two people in separate groups arrived in Thailand and were later found to be infected with COVID-19. Schools in many provinces will shut their doors to test pupils and sanitize their premises. A school in Bangkok on Wednesday confirmed it would only hold online classes from tomorrow after it was revealed that the Sudanese girl's family had stayed in a condominium nearby. In the south, one boy had been asked also to quarantine after revealing he had gone to Rayong about the same time as the infected Egyptian soldier. Another province in Samut Prakan in south of Bangkok, the school shut on Wednesday and today after learning that the two of its students had been in the Rayong shopping mall on the same day as the Egyptian group. A school also in Chonburi, a province near or 1 hour away from Bangkok, will close for 5 days to sanitize its premises because the parents of some students have also visited Rayong in recent days. In New Taitani, another province, a school urgently halted for 3 days on Wednesday after finding the sibling of one student had stayed in the same hotel as the Egyptian delegation. In Buriram, another province there, another school in that province has also closed for 7 days after a parent who previously taught in Rayong recently visited her alumni working at this hotel where the Egyptian militants stayed. Alma, earlier, the Rayong governor had ordered 127 schools in the province to be closed as a precaution. Another update also was there was no infection found among the 1,603 people tested for COVID-19 after being in the place or in a place visited by an infected Egyptian soldier in Rayong and the infected young daughter of a diplomat in Bangkok. The chief of the Disease Control Department, Dr. Suwanachai Watanarunchai, said on Thursday that all 1,336 people who underwent coronavirus tests on Tuesday in Rayong and those who had been at this hotel where the infected Egyptian stayed or at one of the shopping malls visited were tested negative. In Bangkok, 267 people who thought they may be at risk were tested on Tuesday and were not infected. Although lab tests came back negative, Dr. Suwanachai said that these people should continue to wear masks or face masks, frequently wash their hands, observe social distancing, and avoid going out for 14 days. Results were back from tests on a total of 1,603 people in Rayong and in Bangkok, and Dr. Tawisilip confirmed that all were free of the disease or free of the COVID-19 disease. Meanwhile, the Bangkok Post also reported that the government on Thursday reported 4 new cases of COVID-19 disease among quarantined returnees from the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and the United States. The spokesman of the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, Dr. Tawisilip Visanayo team, announced the latest figures on Thursday. He also issued a warning regarding the critical global situation that Thailand can no longer expect to be free of COVID-19 cases, but they must limit the number. Of the total 3,236 cases in Thailand, 3,095 had recovered including 3 who were released on Wednesday. 83 patients remained at the hospital, and the death toll remained unchanged at 58. That is the latest report from Bangkok, Thailand, Alma. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Gretchen, for your updates there in Thailand. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good to see you back.
Yeah, thank you. And likewise, reporting from Bangkok, Thailand, this is Gretchen Gusal said we live in interesting times.
To Japan now, where the Okinawan government is concerned amid a spike of coronavirus cases in U.S. bases there. Joining us live is Dennis Liu. Hello, Dennis.
Hello, Alma. Good evening.
Good evening.
In cases at in Okinawa are being minimized by Japanese authorities. The past few days, a surge in coronavirus cases at bases in Okinawa with Marine Corps Air Station Futenma registering 71 cases. Has 136 cases in the prefecture. Okinawa's efforts to control the virus was compromised by its hosting of the U.S. military, over which it has little control, illustrating challenges likely to resonate with many other nations that accommodate U.S. bases. The issue at the bases, which have long been a target by angry residents and now enhanced by difficulties the prefecture has with accessing key information over the outbreaks. The issue is likely to continue or possibly even worsen. It is extremely regrettable that at a time when residents of Okinawa made an all-out effort to prevent infections, a multitude of cases have occurred in a short span of time among U.S. military personnel. Governor Benny Tamaki mentioned at the news conference Friday, and I quote, "I cannot help but harbor a strong sense of distrust of steps taken by the U.S. military toward curbing infections. A spate of cases prodded U.S. forces Japan to extend its nationwide health emergency over the COVID-19 until August 13th. It had been due to expire on Tuesday. Lieutenant General Stacy Clardy, commander of the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force and head of U.S. forces in Okinawa, reportedly told Tamaki by phone Saturday that Futenma and Camp Hansen are now under lockdown. Meanwhile, the governor of Tokyo, Koike Yuriko, says the Japanese capital reported more than 280 new cases of the coronavirus today, Thursday. This is the highest daily record for Tokyo. The last was 243 cases that was confirmed last July 10th. This is the latest for now, Alma. Back to you at the studio.
Right. Thank you, Dennis. Looking forward for more developments out of Japan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Reporting live from Tokyo, Japan. This is Dennis Liu. We live in interesting times.
Eagle News, we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon, gabay natin ang MTRCB ratings sa matalino at responsableng panonood. Sa tamang pagsunod sa MTRCB ratings, ginagawa nating ligtas at makabuluhan ang panonood ng bawat miyembro ng pamilyang Pilipino. Lumipas man ang panahon, hanggang may pamilyang Pilipino, andyan ang MTRCB.
More than 125 million people in India began a new lockdown on Thursday as authorities worldwide scrambled to get a handle on a surge in coronavirus cases worldwide. Let's take a look.
I think there should have been a complete lockdown because between 5 a.m. and 12 p.m. people will still get out, people will still do whatever is required, and there will only be more density of people during those hours.
Brigade Road, basically, not only the COVID, the economic situation of the country has, there are a lot of shops that have closed down over here. There are about 25 shops that have closed down. Even places like the Pizza Hut and coffee place has also, Coffee Day and Hatti Coffee have closed down on Brigade Road. So the businesses not only have been affected by the COVID, but also the economic situation of the country.
We are following lockdown because of that situation is very critical. Even this, everyone told like that Bangalore situation is slowly difficult because a lot of people is find out that corona positives and everywhere. So we are follow these all things. Even this business, lot of effect because once you come to customer, he didn't touch the product, and if you know the hard size, so definitely you will buy. Other this too difficult and business is completely down.
After imposing one of the world's strictest lockdowns in late March, the country of 1.3 billion people had been steadily easing rules to lessen the huge economic impact, particularly on vast numbers of poor Indians who lost their jobs. But infections have continued to soar, passing 900,000 with almost 24,000 deaths. According to Tuesday's Health Ministry figures that many experts say underplay the severity of the situation. Bangalore, home to more than 13 million people, has emerged as a new hotspot, and that the southern city started new 7-day lockdown at 8 p.m. Firms in the city's lifeblood IT sector, handling the back office operations of dozens of global corporations, can continue operating, but with only half the staff allowed on premises at any one time. Transport is banned except for emergencies, and only shops selling essential items are allowed to open. In the Asia-Pacific region, which had been somewhat successful in fighting the pandemic, there was also fresh evidence of the deadly threat still posed by the virus. Hong Kong's bars, gyms, and beauty salons closed again on Wednesday, and a ban on gatherings of more than 4 people came into force as the city battled a fresh outbreak. But in Paris, visitors once again visited Disneyland, Europe's biggest private tourist attraction, after 4 months of coronavirus lockdown. Take a look.
Yeah, we have to, and if we want to be here, we just need to wear the mask, and we have
some
Disney
food,
mask.
and then you can take it off. So we are eating a lot.
Now, despite the merry mood, things at Disneyland are not quite back to normal, as the COVID-19 pandemic was again showing a slight uptick in a country where it has claimed more than 30,000 lives. As at other resorts, visitor numbers at Disneyland Paris will be limited, the attraction's operator said, without indicating the ceiling. All guests from age 11 must wear masks, and visitors must observe social distancing in queues and on rides. Sanitizing hand gel has been made available at more than 2,000 distribution points. The operator said close interactions, including hugs for Disney's cuddly mascots, will be temporarily suspended, and there will be no princess makeovers, and the daily parade of characters will return only at a later date. More than 17,000 people work at Disneyland Paris, which began halting shows and limiting visitor numbers even before France's official lockdown took effect in mid-March after some maintenance workers tested positive for COVID-19. Meanwhile, France will make the wearing of face masks compulsory in indoor public spaces from next week, according to the government on Thursday, as officials noted signs of an uptick in the coronavirus outbreak. Prime Minister Jean Castex said in the Senate, already obligatory gear on collective transport masks will also become mandatory in shops and on other indoor places frequented by the public. The announcement came as Health Minister Olivier Véran noted signs of a resurgence in the coronavirus epidemic that has claimed more than 30,000 lives in France to date. According to the latest official data released on Wednesday, France had seen 133 new coronavirus patients hospitalized in 24 hours and 17 more people in intensive care for a total of 482. And Germany plans to allow for tougher lockdown measures to contain local outbreaks and ward off the threat of a second coronavirus wave, according to a draft agreement between the federal and regional governments. The new rules would include a ban on travel in and out of the affected areas to limit the spread of the virus. According to the document seen by AFP, Chancellor Angela Merkel had on Tuesday voiced support for travel bans on people from coronavirus hotspots imposed by local authorities. Now, the plan is set to be finalized later on Thursday and comes as countries across the world are reimposing curbs on public life in response to a surge in new infections. Germany, which has been less affected by the pandemic than many of its neighbors, aims to respond to new clusters with hyper-local lockdowns and rapid contact tracing and testing rather than blanket lockdowns of whole towns or districts. The need for clear rules was highlighted last month when a COVID-19 outbreak at a slaughterhouse in the western state of North Rhine-Westphalia led to Germany's first renewed lockdowns covering 2 neighboring districts. Meanwhile, Walmart, the world's largest retailer, said customers would need to wear masks at all its 5,300 stores from Monday, joining a growing group of American businesses to mandate face coverings. The move by the world's biggest retailer, which had previously only encouraged consumers to use face coverings, adds to the momentum in favor of an item broadly embraced in many countries, but which has become a cultural flashpoint in the U.S. in its struggle with COVID-19. Now, Walmart said masks are critically important and the requirement will take effect July 20, which will give the company time to post signage and train health ambassadors to facilitate the new policy. Walmart described its mask policy as a simple step everyone can take for their safety and the safety of others in the facilities. That is according to U.S. Chief Operating Officer Nakona Smith and Sam's Club Chief Operating Officer Lance De La Rosa in a statement on the company's website. Now, the move was immediately championed by the National Retail Federation, or NRF, which said it hoped the announcement would be a tipping point in the debate. The company has more than 5,300 Walmart and Sam's Club stores in the U.S. and a particularly large retail presence in many of the southern and western states that have seen increases in COVID cases and hospitalizations in recent weeks. Florida and Arizona are among the large states with significant outbreaks that still don't have statewide mask mandates. In England, British Health Secretary Matt Hancock announced that face coverings will be compulsory in shops and supermarkets in England from next week. In a U-turn on previous policy, the new legislation will come into force in England on July 24, after weeks of wrangling from ministers about their effectiveness.
So as we restore shopping, so we must keep our shopkeepers safe. There's also evidence that face coverings increase confidence in people to shop. The British Retail Consortium has said that together with other social distancing measures, face coverings can make shoppers feel even more confident about returning to the high street. We've therefore come to the decision that face coverings should be mandatory in shops and supermarkets. Last month, we made face coverings mandatory on public transport and in NHS settings. This has been successful in giving people more confidence to go on public transport and to a hospital setting when they need to. Under the new rules, people who do not wear a face covering will face a fine of up to £100 in line with the sanction on public transport. And just as with public transport, children under 11 and those with certain disabilities will be exempt.
I think some people will be sneaky and try and take them off while they're in the shops, and I just don't think that's right to do. Honestly, I think it's too soon to open all the shops. I think it should lockdown should go a bit further without having the need to go to places like Primark and H&M. There's loads of people, if people want to have clothes or new things to wear, they can just order them. It's very simple to do. I think it's a bit too soon.
That's the only time that people will listen, when they hear they have to pay if they're not gonna wear it. So yeah, I agree. They should be fined if they're not wearing it.
There's so many people with illnesses, for example, OCD, anxiety and things like that, which make it difficult for them to recover from this pandemic. And it is really reassuring to know that you're safe when you go outside. And even if something as small as a face mask makes people feel safe, then I feel like that's something that you do need to enforce.
Has been one of the countries worst hit by the virus, with nearly 45,000 deaths from positive coronavirus cases, according to an official government tally. The government was also warned on Tuesday that a second wave of infections could see 120,000 deaths in hospitals alone, in a reasonable worst-case scenario if no action was taken now. The Academy of Medical Sciences said the government needed to prepare immediately to prevent the state-run National Health Service from being overwhelmed from September. Thousands of Israelis protested in front of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's residence in Jerusalem, demanding his resignation as the government comes under fire over its handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Prime Minister Netanyahu was indicted in January for bribery, fraud, and breach of trust in 3 cases. The Prime Minister, who in May forged a new unity government after more than a year of political turmoil, insists the charges were trumped up to drive him from office. The next trial date at Jerusalem District Court is set for July 19. Under Israeli law, a sitting prime minister is only required to resign if convicted of a criminal offense with all appeals exhausted, which in the prime minister's case could take several years. Protesters criticize Israel's handling of the coronavirus pandemic as the health ministry announced more than 1,400 new cases recorded in the past 24 hours. Eagle News will be right back. Okay, first, Twitter is investigating a massive hack in which high-profile users from Elon Musk to Joe Biden and their accounts hijacked by scammers who the social network believes targeted its employees to gain access to internal systems. Now, posts trying to dupe people into sending hackers the cryptocurrency Bitcoin were tweeted by the official accounts of Apple, Uber, Kanye West, Bill Gates, Barack Obama, and many others on Wednesday. We detected what we believe to be a coordinated social engineering attack by people who successfully targeted some of our employees with access to internal systems and tools, according to Twitter. They used this access to take control of many highly visible accounts, the company said, adding that it was investigating what other malicious activity they may have conducted or information they may have accessed. The fraudulent posts, which were largely deleted, said people had 30 minutes to send $1,000 in Bitcoin in order to receive twice as much in return. A total of 12.58 Bitcoin, worth almost $116,000, were sent to the email addresses mentioned in the fraudulent tweets, according to the site blockchain.com, which monitors crypto transactions. Twitter accounts of Apple, Elon Musk, Bill Gates were hacked. The Biden campaign told AFP that Twitter locked down the hacked account quickly and removed the bogus tweet. U.S. President Donald Trump's account, which has more than 83 million followers, was not among those hacked. The tweet that appeared on Tesla founder Musk's Twitter feed said, "Happy Wednesday, I'm giving back Bitcoin to all of my followers, and I am doubling all payments sent to the Bitcoin address below. You send 0.1 BTC, I send 0.2 BTC back." Now, it added that the offer was only going on for 30 minutes. Meanwhile, a crucial online data arrangement between Europe and the U.S. was invalidated on Thursday as a top EU court decision over Facebook threw transatlantic big tech into legal limbo. The decision stemmed from a legal complaint by Australian activist Max Schrems, who in 2015 scuppered a previous EU-US deal on which tech giants depended to do business.
I know citizens and businesses are seeking reassurance today on both sides of the Atlantic. So let me be clear, we will continue our work to ensure the continuity of safe data flows. Finally, we will be working closely with our American counterparts based on today's ruling. Both Didier and I have been in contact with the US Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross in the past days. I see this an opportunity for the European Union to continue the dialogue with our American partners.
And so, again, the first element will be to share or analyze with the US colleagues to see if we have the same kind of comprehension of the judgment, and then we will see what are the possible next steps.
While disappointed, the U.S. and the EU said they would work closely to find a solution and give companies the legal certainty they need. Schrems' legal assault began after revelations by Edward Snowden of mass digital spying by U.S. agencies, which the EU court at the time said were incompatible with European norms on privacy. The previous decision struck down a deal called Safe Harbor that allowed for data transfers between Europe and U.S. servers, throwing transatlantic business into chaos. EU and U.S. officials swiftly drew up its replacement, Privacy Shield, which is currently used by thousands of U.S. companies but has now been invalidated as well. The judges at the European Court of Justice, the EU's top court, said that provisions of the pact do not grant Europeans actionable rights before the courts against the U.S. authorities. The court also said, however, that another arrangement known as standard contractual clauses could stand, giving companies an alternative framework. The case decided on Thursday originally focused on these complex clauses, an EU invention in which companies outside Europe commit to meeting EU laws on data and privacy. The court also said these were backed up by GDPR, the EU's strict rules on data privacy that can result in massive fines to companies. These clauses are however, far more legally cumbersome for companies than a bilateral deal such as Privacy Shield that the EU has agreed with only 11 countries, including Japan. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the United States will ban visas to some employees of Chinese telecom giant Huawei. Take a look.
The State Department will impose visa restrictions on certain employees of Chinese technology companies like Huawei that provide material support to regimes engaging in human rights violations and abuses globally.
Mr. Pompeo's announcement comes a day after President Trump announced he would sign a bill and an executive order punishing China for steps that are widely seen as an attempt to crush democratic freedoms in Hong Kong, and railed at China for, quote, unleashing upon the world the global coronavirus pandemic. In an interview with The Hill later on Wednesday, Mr. Pompeo added that the U.S. is looking at limits on other Chinese tech companies as well. Meanwhile, Beijing slammed the U.S. clampdown on Chinese telecom giant Huawei as dirty play and took a shot at Washington's own human rights record by pointing to racism in the United States. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that this meant Britain was also joining the U.S. and many other democracies in becoming clean countries, a comment that drew a fiery response from Beijing. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Hua Chunying retorted that what the U.S. does has nothing to do with the word clean. And she also questioned the basis of the U.S. visa restrictions, charging that racial discrimination is everywhere in America. Take a look.
美方的所作所为跟清洁二字没有任何关系，他做的其实是真正的 dirty trick、dirty play。蓬佩奥国务卿哪来的底气和自信来跟中国谈人权问题？如果要谈，我觉得他最好去问问弗洛伊德和美国国内的那些少数族裔怎么看美国国内的人权状况。他也最好去问，如果蓬佩奥先生有诚意的话，我们可以对他不实施签证制裁，我们欢迎他去新疆去看一看，去跟我们新疆各族人民去谈一谈，了解一下新疆各族人民对他怎么看。我可以给他介绍几个维吾尔的朋友，维吾尔族的朋友。华为作为一家那么优秀的民营企业，它唯一的错就是它是中国的。
Can't protect this information. This information that transits across these untrusted networks that are of Chinese origin will almost certainly end up in the hands of the Chinese Communist Party. And so I think they did this for the right reasons. I think they did this to protect and preserve and secure the freedoms of the people of the United Kingdom, and I'm confident they'll continue in that policy. I think, Prime Minister, I think the work that's been done and the work that we've enabled to be done all across the world is now making clear to everyone, and that there is a real security risk. Now every nation is simply asking the question, how do you do it? What are the commercial impacts? How quickly can you move in that direction? And how do we ensure that we have available, cost-effective solutions that don't subject our people to the risk that comes from having this infrastructure inside of the country?
The pushback from Beijing came a day after the U.S. announced visa restrictions for Huawei employees and those of other Chinese firms if they were involved in human rights abuses. Mr. Pompeo has accused Huawei of already being responsible for rights abuses by letting China snoop on dissidents and abetting Beijing's sweeping surveillance in the area, although China denies this. Meanwhile, Vietnam has appreciated countries backing the compliance with international law after the U.S. explicitly rejected China's illegal East Sea claims. Take a look.
Chúng tôi hoan nghênh lập trường của các nước về vấn đề Biển Đông phù hợp với luật pháp quốc tế và chia sẻ quan điểm là Công ước của Liên Hợp Quốc về luật biển 1982 là khuôn khổ pháp lý điều chỉnh mọi hoạt động trên biển và đại dương.
Now, Hang said that peace, stability, cooperation, and development in the South China Sea is the common desire and goal of countries in the region and the international community. Mr. Pompeo also said that the U.S. rejects any PRC maritime claim in the waters surrounding Vanguard Bank of Vietnam, Luconia Shoals of Malaysia, and the waters in Brunei's EEZ and Natuna Besar of Indonesia. Mr. Pompeo said any PRC action to harass other states' fishing or hydrocarbon development in these waters or to carry out such activities unilaterally is unlawful. Meanwhile, Malacanang maintains that the Philippines will pursue a peaceful and diplomatic approach to resolve its long-standing dispute with China in the hotly contested West Philippine Sea. Take a look.
Ang huling pronouncement po ng Pangulo tungkol dito ay sinabi po niya doon sa ASEAN Summit, no, na ginanap po na online. Ang sabi po ng Pangulo, talaga naman pong yung mga bansang Amerika at ang China ay patuloy na maghihiyakat o hihikayatin tayo na sumapi sa kanilang kampo. No. Kinakailangan, ang ating posisyon po dito ay isulong natin ang pangnasyonal na interes natin at kinakailangan po ang resolusyon sa South China Sea ay sang-ayon po sa batas. No? At sinasabi nga po natin na ang lahat ng mga interesado dito sa West Philippine Sea dispute, kinakailangan marisolba ito sang-ayon po sa UN Convention on the Law of the Sea.
Meanwhile, Taiwanese soldiers fight off simulated coastal assaults from China during its biggest annual live fire exercises at a time when Beijing is ramping up military pressure on the island. The 5-day Han Kuang or Han Glory military drills are aimed at testing how Taiwan's armed forces would repel an invasion from China, which regards the island as part of its territory. Take a look. Australia is planning to kill more kangaroos this year to protect endangered grasslands and other wildlife. LeBron Fighter, our ABC Canberra Bureau correspondent, reports.
The bush capital of Australia, also known to be the kangaroo capital for its sustained eastern grey kangaroo population. But in order to maintain this prosperity, a sacrifice must be made. This year's Australian Capital Territory Conservation Cull aims for an approximate of 1,958 eastern grey kangaroos to be removed from the 9 respective priority reserves, which start from the last 15th June 2020 and are expected to finish by 1st of August 2020, according to the ACT government. With the 2020 program in motion, protocols are being placed in the vicinity of these 9 reserves, which will be closed to the public from Sunday to Thursday, while being open to the public from Friday to Saturday during the day. For more information to why kangaroo conservation culls occur, people may consult the following recent research studies which are open for the public. These studies include Kangaroos and Conservation, Assessing the Effects of Kangaroo Grazing in Lowland Grassy Ecosystem 2018, which focused on kangaroo density and grassy ecosystem conservation and the impacts of grazing and their offtake. Kangaroo Management Research Report 2019, discussed reflections on current process, management goals, baseline knowledge and monitoring, operation and implementation considerations, along with integrated management, discussed on page 11 to 13. According to the ACT government, all reserves affected by bushfires will not be a part of the conservation cull, and the cull will be focused on the unaffected reserves. For more information on the 2020 Kangaroo Conservation Cull, please visit the ACT Environment Planning and Sustainable Development Directorate Environment website. Reporting from Canberra, Australia, LeBron Fider, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, LeBron. Have you ever tried to stay silent during a roller coaster ride? It might be the unlikeliest instructional video ever, but footage of these 2 Japanese amusement park executives demonstrating how to scream inside your heart to avoid spreading COVID-19 while on a roller coaster has been a roaring success. Take a look. All right, before we close, we leave you with a word of hope. At the end of the day, there remains so much more to be grateful for. See you again tomorrow evening. Good night. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.